It's up to you, New York, New York.
What's going on, guys? It's Richie Hicks Jr., Sports Podcast, here with my guys, Mr. Idris Salam, aka Bosco from the Bronx.
Yo,
My
yo,
brother.
yo, yo. Go ahead.
How we
Go
doing?
ahead.
How we doing? Got my
All right.
man Ryan Shed, upstate New York. How you doing, Sheddy?
Pretty good, fellas. Yeah, the weather's been great the last couple of days. Brett was here. I went and visited him on Wednesday and saw Disco Dan and the old crew and had a good time with them. And happy to be here, fellas.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. We are talking about the NFC North today. This division has not produced a Super Bowl champion since the 2010 season, which was the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers' sole Super Bowl. He beat the team he currently plays for. We have a Minnesota Vikings team that shares a dubious distinction with the Buffalo Bills, going to 4 Super Bowls but not winning any. We have a Chicago Bears team, which Idris's cousin was a member of on their lone Super Bowl championship. And we have a Detroit Lions team who's trying to fight a closing window as they chase their first Super Bowl, as most of their success, similar to the Bears, happened pre-merger. Last year, this division sent 2 teams to the playoffs. One was the Green Bay Packers. The other was the Chicago Bears. And they met in the first round. It was a classic game. Packers offense just sputtered in the second half. And I think myself and others included felt that head coach Matt LaFleur was outcoached by his counterpart, Ben Johnson. And, you know, Sean McVay, who's a great fan and friend of Matt LaFleur, took great pleasure in beating the Bears a week later in a true classic game. You know, the Rams going into those inclement conditions beat the Bears. The Bears were just so very close to advancing to the title game. And, you know, it's been a long time since the Bears had something to be excited about. You know, this is a division that for the most part, the Packers have at least co-owned. The Lions in recent memory, you know, were a Super Bowl contender. And it's really a wide open division. You know, I personally think the best quarterback coach in this division coaches the team that a lot of people are unfortunately overlooking, but I think that may very well change. As we do it always, we start from the bottom and we move our way up. We're going to start with the Minnesota Vikings, who finished last in this division a year ago. We're going to give you their 2026 draft class, and we're going to get into some questions regarding this team where me and the guys are going to debate and, you know, add to each other's points about how we see it going for them. But these are the players they drafted. I'm going to give it a couple of seconds to go over. And we're going to hit you with a background, too, of a Minnesota Viking player. Let this just kind of go over for a second. Let the guys absorb what this draft looks like. And that is Justin Jefferson, boys. That is Justin Jefferson, one of the best in the league. All right. I'm going to hit on this once round one comes back around. All right. We got Caleb Banks, defensive tackle out of Florida. This is a division that likes to run the ball. Definitely a good pickup there. Jake Goldie, linebacker out of Cincinnati. Round three, they go to the defensive line again. Dominique Orange out of Iowa State. Round three, Caleb Tiernan, a tackle out of Northwestern. Tight end, Max Bredesen, like this pick because of the fact that TJ Hawkinson's getting up in age. Round five, Charles Demings, a cornerback out of Stephen F. Austin. They go running back, Damond Claiborne out of Wake Forest. Gavin Gerhardt, a center out of Cincinnati. The big change, besides the draft, is that Kyler Murray is going to be under center now. This is definitely an opportunity for Kyler to resurrect his career with one of the best quarterback minds in the business. Gentlemen, let's start with the draft. How do we feel about what the Vikings did here? Shed, I'll start with you.
Well, their defense has always been, one of their biggest strengths, and they lost quite a few players, which is obviously why you can see from their draft that they are trying to replace. I think it's they're thinking defense first. I don't mind that mindset at all. Their offense is going to speak for itself. I think they're with Kyler Murray coming in there. You have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. The offensive line's good. And Jordan Mason running the football. I think that he didn't get the ball enough last season. I know we're just kind of focusing on the draft and what we're looking at here, but where I was going with that is I don't think the focal point was necessarily the offense on purpose, and that's why they kind of went to the defense to try to reinforce that defensive line and try to improve there and get younger.
Yeah, I like the point. This is a team that features a multitude of good receiving threats, mainly Jordan Addison, opposite of Justin Jefferson, who in any given year is a top 3 to 5 receiver. I think the biggest thing here where you're going to see an upgrade on this roster is at the quarterback position. J.J. McCarthy, no real rookie year, sophomore year, not much to write home about. Carson Wentz, I thought was playing gutsy, but unfortunately, the injury bug came for him yet again. You're getting a very talented player in Kyler Murray, who has never quite had the receiving room that he has here, nor the coaching for his particular position. Because if you look at O'Connell, he resurrected Sam Darnold. He got Daniel Jones sturdy before the real opportunity came in Indy. And he has a nice little track record of being able to build up quarterbacks that adapt to his system, but also become better players if they leave his system. And those are a couple of good examples. Defensively, I'm going to back it up a year. They had a tragedy last year and lost one of their better draft picks. So they had to give love to that same position again. But this is a team that, in my opinion, given the fact that they're going to draw the fourth place schedule, could potentially be there at the end because of the physicality of this division. It's a weird division in a lot of ways, because if somebody comes up to me and says, do you completely trust Caleb Williams? I'm going to say, no, not yet. Too many interceptions. Do you completely trust Jordan Love? No, not yet. Too many heroic plays. Jared Goff? Yeah, I trust him until a big game. What about Kyler Murray? I don't know. But I think Kyler Murray has the best coach for what he needs to do. We're going to look at the schedule. But before we do, I'm going to put up a couple of questions surrounding this team. Can Kyler Murray resurrect his career under head coach Kevin O'Connell and get the most out of wide receivers Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison? We'll start there.
Okay. I'll go ahead then. I think so. First of all, let me say something about Jetta. He has to be the ultimate receiver, because a lot of receivers are divas and everything. But through the winning and the losing, I'll just say the losing. He's been quiet, and he seems like one one of those players that he knows he can go. He's like Mike Trout. He knows he can go anywhere he wants to go, but he's committed to where he is. That's why I respect this guy, because a lot of receivers are real divas, and when they start losing or not getting the ball, they start making a ruckus. I want out. I want. This guy's just been playing. He went through quarterback after quarterback after quarterback, but he loves where he plays, and he's one of those guys that I would love to see win something. That's why I kind of root for the Vikings on the low, because I like to see him win something. As for Minnesota, like Shed said, I think they've always had a good defense. They got the right defensive coordinator. Only thing they did was back it up. Let's do this, because I think with getting on Kyler Murray, I think Kyler Murray resurrects his career. I think he looked good last year. He's calmed down, he's mature, and I think he's in the right system. I think he's in the right place. He's on a fast track. He's with a quarterback coach, like you said, Richie. He's with a guy who knows how to work with quarterbacks. I think he's going to excel, man.
And you know something, gentlemen? Back it up 2 years ago. This team was in the final game of the season playing for best record in the NFC. They unfortunately lost that game to Detroit, and then a week later gave up, I think, 8 or 9 sacks where Sam Darnold just got a beating. And, the questions were still surrounding Sam Darnold. Can he win a big game? Obviously, he proved that last year as he's a Super Bowl champion now. And once again, I reiterate, coming out of this system with a very wise quarterback coach. I think Kyler Murray elevates his game to a level that we haven't seen yet. We've seen promise in the beginning of his Arizona run before a lot of the controversies came out, whether it was not committing completely to the sport, whether it was caring more about Call of Duty or baseball, or just not really caring at all, being a paycheck player. Rod Tidwell, little reference there. I like this Vikings team this year. I'm going to pull up the schedule, but I really do like this team to surprise a lot of people and potentially win this division, because I'm not too keen on side stories regarding other teams. I'll give you 3 quick examples. Caleb Williams is on the cover of Madden. I'm not going to even elaborate. I don't think I need to. Micah Parsons coming off a legitimate injury in Green Bay, and Matt LaFleur kind of drawing the ire of the Packers fans the way he coached last season in that playoff game. And then you got the Detroit Lions, who had their hearts ripped out 2 years ago against Shed's 49ers. Game they probably should have won if they would have just ran the ball and not played the game like if it was a game of Madden. And then you get the Terry and Arnold stuff off the field. I think this Minnesota Vikings team going into the season has the least distractions compared to everyone else. Oh, and I also want to mention the Josh Jacobs lingering legal thing as well, a domestic incident. I'm not accusing him of being guilty or anything like that, but it is something that will stay with him, similar to when Stephon Diggs was dealing with that stuff, So unfortunately, it seems like every season we get these similar stories regarding NFL players. It's not exclusive to the NFL, but it does seem like the NFL has the most incidences in that regard. This Minnesota team's in a good place to capitalize on a fortuitous schedule in terms of being a 4th place team last year. Here's the schedule, boys.
I'd just like to add, too, that Kyler Murray's not guaranteed to be a starter, boys. My rehab's going well. I'm going to give him everything I got. He's going to have to prove to Kevin O'Connell that he's better than I am, with especially with all my experience. I think JJ is also going to be in the mix, but I do think he needs to sit behind himself and Kyler Murray before he takes the reins again. I mean, he looked like a deer in headlights at times last year. And
I mean, we can talk about the bomb that Murray threw against the Buffalo Bills. We can talk about. No, I'm at it. We can talk about the Hail Murray. We could talk about the Hail Murray if we want to. We could talk about J.J. McCarthy winning a national title. But being besties with Brett Bandick and still being alive is more impressive than both of those things.
Agreed. Yeah.
That's all I got.
Either way, the quarterback battle is going to be a real thing, boys. Don't just hand the reins over to Kyler Murray. That's all.
No question about it, Shetty. He's got to earn it. And that goes for any position in the NFL, but especially at the most important one. All right. The yellow is home, the white is away. They start the season with an instant test. Home game versus the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to give the Packers the slight edge in week 1 because it's week 1. Give me the Packers probably by like 3 or less. Week 2 at Chicago, give me 0-2. Going to have some adversity out of the gates. Then you get the little southern bend here. You got a roadie in Tampa before coming home to Miami, and then a week 5 matchup with the Saints. I'm going to say that these guys are going to be 3-2 after that going into the bye week. Home for Indy, give me the dub there. I think week 8, I'm having a hard time. That's the Lions. Okay.
Lions,
it looked like
yeah.
Okay. On the road, yeah, give me the L there. At home for the Bills, give me the L there. They'll win the rematch with Green Bay. 49ers is truly a toss-up. I think that really depends on the 49ers' health. I'll take the Niners there. They'll beat the Falcons. I think they'll beat the Lions in the rematch. Excuse me. Who is that over there? Is that the Panthers?
Patriots. Oh, yeah, there's the Panthers, then the Patriots.
Yeah, they did not do a good color scheme on this. All in all, guys, I like the way their schedule finishes. I think this is a 10-win team. Give me the Vikings with a record of 10-7 and knocking on the door for a playoff berth. I think 10-7 could potentially be second place in this division if they win enough of their division head-to-heads. And just on the eye test alone, I'm going to say they go an even 3-3 in their division. Give me a 10-7 record for the Vikings.
I'm gonna go 11-6, man. I think they come out the gate. I think they beat Green Bay in Green Bay. I don't have confidence in Green Bay. I think they'll beat them at home. I think they'll beat them in Chicago. In Chicago is what I meant to say.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you, dude. Walking into the bye, I got them going 4-1, man. I think New Orleans will be a tough task. I think New Orleans will be the one to give it to them. I'm gonna give them 4-1.
Okay.
11-6 total.
11-6 total for Idris. 10-7 for myself. Shed, how do you see this playing out?
Yeah, I like 10-7 as well. I mean, there's always going to be a team or two that you expect to win and lose to even. But they have the 4th place schedule in that division as well, which is, beneficial for them. However, the easiest schedule based on the previous league's standings from the last year is the Detroit Lions schedule. But still.
Yeah, isn't it funny how that works out? Yeah,
no kidding, even with the 4th place schedule. But no, I like their chances, fellas. They play very tough at home. Their defense is my only real question mark. I mean, losing Jonathan Greenard on the defensive side of the ball is no easy task, which is why, I mentioned earlier that they were focusing on the defense in the draft. But their offense, in theory, as long as Kyler Murray stays upright, and plays like he should play, that offense is gonna go. I like what Kevin O'Connell's doing. So I like 10-7. I'm going with that.
Now, of course, 11-6 is almost a guarantee for the playoffs. I think only twice in NFL history an 11-win team missed the playoffs. Most recently, 2008 New England Patriots. So Idris's prediction most definitely has them in the playoffs. Shed, do you think our dual prediction of 10-7 is enough to get them in, or do you think they're just going to miss?
Nope, I think that's going to get them in, and as we move along, I'll tell you why.
All right, I like it. All right, just bear with me. Going to pull up our next team. Minnesota Vikings got a combined 31 victories between the three of us in terms of how it plays out. Of course, that's not real, but, just giving a little metric there. That is Micah Parsons. I still don't think he looks normal in a Green Bay uniform. Certain players, when you see them, you just assume they're going to be a lifer with a certain organization. And I myself was really mind blown when the Dallas Cowboys traded him. Now, I understand why they did it, but I still thought it was a little strange. But you know, you don't really evaluate who wins a trade until time moves along, because you cannot answer a question like that in just one season. And if we are going to even attempt to answer that question, it's a wash right now. Because if you base it on last year, Micah Parsons' injury really destroyed the Packers' chances of making a deep playoff run. And the immediacy of the trade, the immediate impact in Dallas was that they couldn't stop a nosebleed. So it kind of evened out for each team last year, and oddly enough, both these teams tied. Here's their draft class. Brandon Siss out of South Carolina, the safety, round 4. Chris McLennan, defensive tackle, Missouri, round 4. Dennis Sutton, edge rusher out of Penn State. I like that. I see what they're doing here, bringing some Nittany Lions together. Jager Burton, the center out of Kentucky. Domani Jackson, a corner out of Alabama. Trey Smack, this might be their most important pick, albeit it was so late. You don't see kickers get drafted often. But the Green Bay special teams, particularly the kicking game, has been a mess for far too long. They haven't really had that consistency or a guy that you could truly rely on since Mason Crosby. In my opinion, they're getting a top 5 kicker out of college. And I do believe that they're getting a good one. But once again, the cold in the South, albeit humid and to the bones, is not the same kind of cold or wind dynamic that a place like Lambeau or Chicago offers. Because it's a different kind of cold when you consider the bodies of water, you know. So we're going to find out how good that kicker is, but I do believe that kicker is going to be instrumental in deciding some games for this Packers team. If Brett was here, I think he'd agree with me. The biggest issue with the Green Bay Packers since the end of the Rodgers era into this new era with Jordan Love has been, when you guys think of NFL history, the frozen tundra, where they're from, yada, yada. I think the mystique is a little lost in Lambeau. And I don't think the roster of this team, with the exception of a couple of guys on this team, are physical enough to represent what this team's bread and butter used to be, particularly in the cold months. I find this team to be a little too finesse. And I think in the NFC, Shed's 49ers have proven it in the past. The Seahawks proved it most recently. The Eagles proved it. You got to be physical, particularly in the run game, getting real basic with it, running through the gaps, you know, down to the intricacies of the beginnings of football knowledge when you're playing in Pee-wees. The Green Bay Packers have lost that somewhere along the way. Now, don't get me wrong. Josh Jacobs is a boss of a running back. He was hella good in Oakland/Vegas, and he's been damn good with the Green Bay Packers. But I do think this team is missing a little something. And I'll be honest, guys, although Matt LaFleur, one of the best starts in Green Bay history with the likes of Curly Lambeau, Mike Holmgren, and the incomparable Vince Lombardi, I just don't like this team this year. I don't think they're going to be good enough to be as good as the expectation is when you talk about a team that has the most overall championships. Shed, Idris, whoever wants in, have at it.
I agree. I don't have confidence in Jordan Love. The guy can play ball, but as we always seen over the last couple of years, you got people who throw interceptions. You just didn't see the receiver, or you might have overthrown, whatever. But he throws the worst interception. It's like you knew you shouldn't have thrown that ball. He'll be on a roll and just throw it. And like he just goes up for grabs.
My favorite was in SoFi a couple of years ago. John Olsen was in the house when he was like literally halfway on his back.
Yeah, and just let it go. Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to give up the safety. I'd rather give you 4 more points. Here's the football. Here's the football right in your breadbasket.
Right. That was a given.
Ask Ryan Shed. Once the rain started in Santa Clara, I don't know why he thought he had to play hero ball, But a couple of years ago, the Green Bay Packers should have beaten the San Francisco 49ers.
They should have beaten the 40. You're sure right. They should have beaten
And they
them.
did not. They did
Right.
not. Matt LaFleur, in my opinion, has a problem closing out games and having his every 53-man group is an extension of the message of their head coach. Sometimes bad teams are poorly coached. Sometimes bad teams don't absorb the message. And sometimes a change is needed. I'll be honest, gents. Matt LaFleur is a great, brilliant football mind. But after what happened last year in the playoffs, and after you think about how close they were at the end of the Rodgers era, I think Matt LaFleur's act is getting a little stale in Lambeau.
I'm glad you said that.
This is a hot seat kind of season.
I'm glad you said that. And before Shed chimes in, I wanted to touch on that. I think if the Packers choke this year, don't make the play, I think LaFleur is out. As for Micah Parsons, I'll be honest with you, I kind of felt he's a little overrated in Dallas. I mean, I know he did what he did, but he played out of his normal position. Because we see when he literally has to play linebacker, not edge rusher, linebacker. He can't play out in the field. He can't cover tight ends or nothing like that. He has a hard time stopping the run. And I see his only use is as an edge rusher because he can't cover, he can't stop the run. You know, we've seen that. So,
and Mike Zappi, friend of the show, alluded to this many a time.
Yes.
Even before Micah was out of Dallas, because sometimes when you lose a player, you get on that scorn lover shit, because I certainly was hating on Saquon when he kicked me in the testicles. Yeah. But the God's honest truth is everything you said is 100% right. That's why I roll my eyes when you get these comparisons like a Khalil Mack a few years back, or right now Micah, or even Jadeveon Clowney coming out of college, the next LT. Are you shitting me? He'd be lucky to be Charles Haley, and Charles Haley was damn good.
Yeah, I agree.
I like this comment from Jose. Jordan Love is overrated. Timu Caleb Williams, in my opinion. Jose, I could forgive Caleb Williams' interceptions a little better than Jordan Love for the sheer fact that Caleb Williams is literally just trying to make a play with his God-given abilities. Now, don't get me wrong. He has to get better at reading coverages too and different kind of schemes. But Jordan Love just goes blackout mode when he throws some of these picks, to Idris's point. So, yes, Jose, I'm with you on that. And I do believe that Caleb Williams has a higher ceiling than Jordan Love. But you know what? The Packers have been blessed more than most with the ability to always fall into a good quarterback situation. Similar to your team, actually, the Dallas Cowboys, if you erase that little weird period in the 2000s. And Shed's team, the 49ers, who transitioned from one Hall of Famer to another, and then even post-Young had a really good player in Jeff Garcia. Then they get lucky and kind of strike out on Trey Lance, but draft a winner in Brock Purdy. So the 49ers have been very fortunate too. And it's more than being fortunate. They got some good brains upstairs, because getting the right quarterback, which is the most important position on the team, is not a luck thing. It's an evaluation thing. And the 49ers, the Packers, and yes, your Cowboys, even though I don't like talking well about them, are good talent evaluators.
Right.
As far as Green Bay goes for me, my concern is the run defense, specifically. Even with Micah on the field, he's not a very good run defender at all.
Good point, Shed. Good point.
Right on.
Xavier McKinney's great on that back end, but still I worry about their defensive line rushing the passer without Micah on the field, and that the second level with their linebacking core. And the offense, Josh Jacobs is awesome. Jordan Love, you guys already touched on it. I don't really need to say anything that hasn't already been said about him. But my concern for the offense on top of that is their wide receivers. Christian Watson, always hurt. When he's on the field, he's awesome. He's a burner. He can catch the ball and go up and get it. Jaden Reed, he was hurt most of last year. Broken collarbone at the second game of the season, didn't come back till late at the end of the season. they're just always banged up. The only thing I'm going to really have a little bit of disagreement on is Matt LaFleur. I think that they're good coaches are very hard to find. I think he's done a formidable job for them. They're always in the playoffs. They've always had a good team. Trying to get over that hump, to your points, though, fellas, it has been his Achilles heel. But that's not all on him. You brought up the 49er game where Jordan Love throws across his body and Dre Greenlaw runs over and catches it and intercepts the ball and ends the game. Again, some bad decisions being made that he has no control over. Everything, all this being said, I do like them to regress to agree with you fellas. I'd like to see the schedule if you have it, Richie. If not, I can just tell you what I think their record will be without seeing it.
No, we're going to post it right now. I just wanted to make sure you got all your words out and felt good about the time you had and whatnot. We're going to post it right now. That is your Packers schedule, sir.
Yeah.
You're on a roll, Shed, so continue, and then I'll go last on this team.
Yep, so I like them to lose to Minnesota. I like them to beat the Jets, the Falcons, the Bucks, lose to the Bears, lose to the Cowboys, lose to the Lions, lose to the Panthers, beat New England.
Really? You got them beating the Pats?
Mm-hmm. There's got to be a couple in there, right? There has to be.
Okay.
In New England, week 9, yeah. Brett's going to love that, by the way. They're going to lose to the Rams, beat the Saints, lose to the Bills, beat the Dolphins, beat the Bears, lose to the Texans, beat the Lions. So that's probably, what was that, 9-8?
Yes, sir.
9-8 right there. 8-9 if they lose one here or there. And again, that's going to be very dependent. And we're basing these, as always, if everybody's healthy throughout the entire season, this is what we think. So yeah, I like 9-8.
Look at that final stretch of the season, bro.
Houston
basically from week 12 down. From week 12 down, the only 2 games I think they're going to win are the Dolphins and the Saints. And I'll be honest, I have the Saints as a much improved team. I don't consider that a guarantee. I think I might be on Jose's wavelength here. Give me an 8-9 record for the Green Bay Packers. And I'm also going to go as far as saying that 8-9 is last place in the North. When's the last time the Packers were in last place? You might have to go back and possibly remember that short period of time where Brett Favre was going through coordinators, and he had a couple of forgettable years before the McCarthy era. The end of the Pat Shurmur era is the last time, to my recollection, that the Packers really looked like shit. And you know that this is coming from a very honest place because, as you guys know, I honored my father before this. I always have my father near and dear to my heart whenever I talk about the Packers, particularly on this. Every year we do this show. Every year we do the previews. But there ain't no Kool-Aid drinking this year, and there is no Packer sympathizing. Sorry, John Olsen. Sorry, Packer Nation. I think you guys are going to have a rough season.
I'm going 9-8 also, man. Maybe 8-9 depends. I'm going 9-8, man. I think it's going to be rough this year.
I will say this, though. I love the kicker edition. I think their kicking game's finally going to get in order. Go ahead, Chet.
I was just going to say, and we don't even know when exactly Micah's coming back, and we don't know what kind of Micah Parsons we're even going to get. So everybody that's going to be like, as soon as he comes back, our defense is going to be X, Y, and Z this much better. You don't know that. It takes a while to even get your feet under you. It takes you even, you can come back on the field after an ACL tear, but you're really not the same for like another, like half a year. You know what I mean? You still don't.
You got that shit.
Your legs underneath you. So I don't know. That defense is my biggest concern for them.
I agree, dude. I agree with you. We went out of order based on how they did last year, but that's okay. We're going to hit on the Detroit Lions next. Reason I'm purposely holding the Lions for a little later is because I've seen some blown out predictions for this Lions team, where some reputable publications have them winning as many as 14 games, which I think is slightly laughable because I understand they made some additions and I understand they had a decent draft. But I'm sorry. I don't think they're ever going to have a better opportunity than they did in that 49er game. I think that was the zenith of their opportunity. That's Jahmyr Gibbs. That's his new number 0. He broke it in last year. I liked 26 better, big dog. All right. Kendrick Law, I love this pickup for them. They already have Jameson Williams opposite of Amon-Ra St. Brown. This dude is a bona fide slot man, and he's going to do very well for them. I think their 6th and 7th rounders are going to struggle to stay in the league within 3 years. Just my opinion. Nothing against those guys. I wish everybody the best. Blake Miller is a dog out of Clemson. He's going to do a very good job protecting Jared Goff. Derek Moore, edge rusher out of Michigan, one of the better defenses in the country. They pair that up with Jimmy Rolder. I like that. They stay home and they stay together. Keith Abney III, a little undersized, but a very physical guy. He reminds me a little bit of Felipe Sparks, just to age myself a little. Of course, his more richer and more popular daughter, Jordan Sparks. Felipe was a short dude, similar to like an Al Harris, but he was always physical, and he didn't take nothing off of any of those big physical receivers, ranging from guys like Herman Moore in that era. Name your big receiver of the late 90s. Felipe Sparks was a very tough dude, giving up the height and the weight. I like their defensive additions. Personally, I think just based on this alone, defensively, they're going to be where they need to be because they have the best offense in this division, by far the best offense in this division. And that's even despite breaking up the Sonic and Knuckles combo. Bringing in Isaiah Pacheco, the often injured one, you better hope that your superstar doesn't get hurt. And that superstar is Jahmyr Gibbs, who just became the richest running back in the history of the league. Jim Brown would be doing backflips in fury. Listen, it's a sign of the times. I get it. Jahmyr Gibbs is a dog, don't get me wrong, but it's insanity to me. But that'll be broken soon enough by someone else. This Lions team has a high ceiling in terms of what they can do offensively. The defense has to at least be middle of the road for them to win the division and go further. Dan Campbell is a rah-rah kind of guy, similar to a Bill Cowher. I'll hold my prediction until the schedule drop that we're going to post here, but I'm going to let these two get in it.
Go ahead, Eaters.
Oh, I was on mute. My bad. I agree, man. I don't think they should have broke up Sonic and Knuckles, man. Jahmyr Gibbs getting the money. Yeah, he's a dog. He gets it done, but now it's on him.
Yes, sir.
And he goes down, they're in trouble, man. You got, I'm going to say Brown, cool. I mean, you got Isaiah Pacheco, but Isaiah Pacheco can't stay on the field.
Yeah, he's a backup, so reduced role could potentially help him, but nonetheless,
right. But he can't stay on the field.
Injured.
Yeah, he's often injured. So it's not like, I don't see any improvement from the team this year for real. I know what they got drafted wise, but these guys got to learn the game, man.
Not to mention the Terrion Arnold situation, which is down below in the questions.
Right. So I don't know, man. I think Detroit steps back too, man. I'm gonna give them 9 and 8, man. No, maybe 8 and 9. I just don't see them, even based on their schedule. I mean, the NFC Central. I mean, NFC North. They got a pretty deep schedule, man. So I just don't. I think Detroit. I think their window's closed. I think they played around too long. With the being, with this and Dan Campbell. I like Dan Campbell, but I think they messed around too long. They had a good 3-year window. Yeah,
I agree with everything you said, but I think this division is on the side of mediocre this year.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just taking an eye glance at their schedule, and I think their schedule is fortuitous enough for them to win this division, although I don't think much of them past that.
I think coming out the gate, I think they can. I think New Orleans will be a tough game, but I think they should. But Buffalo, I don't think they'll beat Buffalo. I think they'll run the Jets. They'll probably beat the Panthers. The Cardinals, who knows? Then they play Green Bay at home, Minnesota. I think they'll beat I'm going to still go 9-8, 8-9.
This schedule don't scare me. And
No,
to Shed's point,
it really
they got
doesn't.
the
It really
easiest road here. And I agree with everything you said. I want to make that clear. I don't think this team is a contender for the Super Bowl, but I do think they're going to win this division.
Yeah, I don't think they'll win the division.
Give me 10-7, but give me a soft 10-7. They're going to win this division at 10-7. It's going to be a soft 10-7.
Okay.
Okay,
Ray.
My biggest concern with Detroit is their defense. Not just that, but their offensive line. I mean, their offensive line, they lost two guys, Taylor Decker and Graham Gaslow. And those guys have been like, I mean, that's why they drafted the first round. They drafted that tackle to try to.
And he is a damn good one. SEC tackle taking on the best kind of edge rushers. Yep.
I mean, he's good. I just don't know, especially being a rookie coming in there to try to protect Goff, and, my concern with Jameer Gibbs is now, I mean, you had Sonic and Knuckles. Now you're straight up Sonic. There is no Knuckles. I mean, you're an every down back now. You are not splitting carries. You were doing the dirty work that David Montgomery used to do for you all the time, which means your durability isn't going to be as high. So, I mean, you're more likely to get or more prone to be injured. I mean, sure, they'll bring Pacheco in for some of those tough yards, but he doesn't have the talent that David Montgomery had.
Shed just accomplished what I didn't think he could. He just talked me down a game. Here goes the Pops shout out. Final game of the season at home. Green Bay returns the favor from a couple of years earlier. A Green Bay team that has nothing to play for knocks the Lions out of the playoffs. I'm going to give a little spoiler alert. I haven't even talked about the Bears yet, but the Minnesota Vikings are going to win this division.
Sure. With the defense, too, I mean, who's rushing the passer besides Aiden Hutchinson? Who you got?
Right on.
And they got rid of one of my favorites, Anzalone. I love that dude.
And they had Brian Branch, torn Achilles, still coming back from that. They also have Kirby Joseph. Another good player, but he's hurt. He's trying to come back. I mean, again, I just don't see a lot, and it's not that they don't have talent. It's just there's a lot of question marks, and stopping the run on top of rushing the passer. Maybe they can put up a lot of points, but if you can't stop anybody, help me out.
You know what this team reminds me of a little bit? Pick your best Dak Prescott season when the Cowboys couldn't stop a nosebleed. Or more recently, pick your best Bengals offensive season when they really couldn't stop anybody. And that's what this is going to be here. The only reason why I originally gave them 10 and then I backed it down to 9 is because I actually like their schedule. Yeah. But having said all that, I still think the Vikings are going to win this division. Why are the Vikings going to win this division? Because they are under the radar and they don't have any friggin' distractions or pressures. These guys are fighting off a closing window. LaFleur is fighting off a hot seat. Caleb Williams is fighting off expectations. Kyler Murray ain't fighting off nothing other than getting back to football. And he has the best quarterback coach in this damn division.
No pressure.
Yeah, the schedule, guys, is the only reason that they could potentially make the playoffs. But like Richie said earlier, I like them to be one and done if they make the playoffs. So, but Richie already kind of spoiled it for me. I like them to go 9-8, boys, even with this schedule. I think that they may just as well get swept in their division, boys.
This is how I see it playing.
Maybe 1-5.
They're going to get punched in the mouth by the Giants right before the Bears game because they're going to be looking ahead at their division stuff. They're going to eliminate the Bears, and then the Packers are going to eliminate them. And I haven't even said a word about the Bears yet, and the people in Chicago are probably like, what's up with this dude? Well, I'll explain myself.
Oh, we're coming. Don't worry. I don't have any confidence. I mean, because Detroit, they've never really had a good defense anyway.
No, sir.
They had enough just to get by. Yeah, they had enough to get by, but they were still giving like 25, 30 points a game. They were still giving up a lot of points. And
they always have the curse of having like one potential generational talent.
Yeah.
But like they never surround that generational talent with the right role guys. Like even Chris Spielman, before he left the NFL early to tend to his wife who had a lot of health issues.
Yeah.
He chose family over the game, which is the right decision every time.
Right
But the
on.
point is that these guys have never had more than one bona fide guy. Like you look at my Giants back in the 80s, early 90s. Yeah, we had LT, but we had a lot of support level guys that on other teams would probably have better numbers.
Yeah.
Pick a defense from the 49er glory days. They can speak on it. Point to be made is this team just ain't it. And I cannot believe the amounts of copious weed smoking that USA Today is doing, picking these guys to have the season they're going to have. It's a soft schedule, and I got them winning 10 best case, 9 most likely. These dudes got to win in like 14 games. These guys ain't even that good.
No, I agree.
That's all I got.
And like
That's
I
all I
said,
got on it.
Yeah, like I said, they
then
never had a
we
good
talked
defense
about hot
anyway. So
seats. Dan Campbell did like a presidential 4 years of no hot seat. That shit's going to get real warm after this is over.
yes, it is.
Right.
I just don't like I said. My main thing is their defense. The offense kept them in games, and the offense won games for them. That defense, the offense is not like it was last year. The defense was never that good.
Mm-mm.
So I think the window for Detroit's closed, man. I really do.
I'm with you, dog.
Yeah.
I'm with you. We're going to talk about the Chicago Bears, the reigning division champions of last year.
The Bears.
That was a phenomenal throw by Caleb Williams. That was from the playoff game.
Yeah.
I believe. Okay, first, before I even get into the schematics, do you or Shed believe in the Madden curse?
No.
All right, one for the Madden curse is a no. What about you, Mr. Salam?
Do I believe in the Madden curse?
Not as powerful as the zero number in the NBA.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's recent. That's recent times. So for recency bias, I agree with that. But for historical reference, I do think there's something to this. Homie's on the cover of Madden. But let's get into the schematics. All right, the Chicago Bears. This is their draft class. Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon. Nice pickup. I like him. Logan Jones, the center out of Iowa. Sam Roush, tight end out of Stanford. I think they could have got him around 4. Xavier Thomas, wide receiver out of LSU. Malik Muhammad, that's a ball player right there. Cornerback out of Texas. Keyshawn Elliott, linebacker out of Arizona State. Jordan Vandenberg, defensive tackle out of Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets send a football player towards the end of this Bears draft. Nothing moves the page for me after their first 2 picks. Just being honest about it. I think Sam Roush could be a nice developmental player because they have a stud for a tight end right now in Colston Loveland, who I think, regardless of how this team does, is going to have a boss-ass year. I'm going to follow this with the questions regarding this team. Can Caleb Williams capitalize on last year's momentum? Well, if the Madden curse is a real thing, I'm going to say no. I know it sounds kind of like stupid and short-sighted to just say I think he's going to get hurt. And, I don't wish injury on no one. But I have a bad feeling he might get hurt this year. Assuming he doesn't get hurt, can he cut down the interceptions? Of course he could. But I think Ben Johnson encourages that because he is a gunslinger. No one is going to be caught off guard this year. That's kind of a thing. Ben Johnson did a phenomenal job of really catching the league off guard. I think that's going to even up a little this year as well. Ben Johnson's a damn good coach. No question about it. And roster-based standpoint, there's one particular player that this team lost that I'm a little worried about, and that's DJ Moore, who's over in Buffalo hanging with Josh Allen now. You got Roma Dunze. You've given love to that receiver room. But I'm concerned that there's not a legitimate number 1 in that receiving room, and I think it's going to limit Caleb Williams' abilities to make the big play consistently outside of Loveland. And Loveland is not a secret anymore. He's going to have a nice year, but defenses are going to force the Bears to have to run the rock more, or also force Caleb Williams to have to throw those passes into tight windows, which I personally think he's a 50-50 on. The God-given talent is there. I mean, look at the picture. He's on 1 foot. He knows how to extend plays. And they do have a comeback variable to them last year. But that's not a typical way to consistently win football games, and I think this year that catches up to them. Gentlemen, chime in.
Go Raiders.
Oh, I'll sing. Go ahead, shit. Oh, well, okay. I'll go ahead. Um, I've been a big critic of Caleb Williams. Coming out of college, I wasn't a fan of him in Oklahoma. I wasn't a fan of him at USC either. I always thought he was a crybaby and soft and all that stuff. Now he's doing better. I mean, he's really picked up his game big time, but he's still
Yes,
holding the ball too long. He didn't sit in the pocket long enough. He has his flaws, and I think he's getting better. But I think this year, I think they're coming to get him. I think out the gate, man. I mean, at best 2-2 out the gate, man. Yeah. I mean, the first 4 games, that is. I don't know, man. I don't know. Carolina, I think Carolina beats them. I think Minnesota wins. I think Philly runs them. I think they beat the Jets. I think Green Bay wins in Green Bay.
If you look at the first 8 weeks, bro, that is brutal.
Yeah, I think Atlanta.
Because Atlanta looks like that. That's a game the Falcons will win, even though the Falcons ain't going to be that good.
Yeah, New England. That might be a toss-up. Seattle, I think Seattle runs them. They should beat Tampa. I don't think they beat New Orleans. I don't think they win in Detroit. I think Jacksonville throttles them. I think they beat Miami. They get throttled by Buffalo. I think they beat Green Bay. I think they beat Detroit. And I think they get run by Minnesota. I'm going to give them 8 wins, man. Max. I'm going to go 8 and 9, man.
I'm going to knock them down 1. I got them 7 and 10, and some of that is circumstantial because I think Caleb Williams is going to see a few blue tents this year. I don't wish it on him. I'm giving
8. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt.
I'm giving them 7 and 10. Sorry, Moorhead family. I know that you guys, obviously Aaron is employed by the Eagles, but I know that there's a lot of Chicago love there. Of course, Emery, his father, your cousin, won a Super Bowl with the '85 Bears. This is my grandfather's favorite team. My grandfather was stationed in Chicago, although he obviously brought the family to New York. He always loved his Cubbies and loved his Bears. The Yankees were kind of like a secondary team for him. He was a Cub fan at heart. Same thing with the Bears. Nah, bro. The Vikings are winning this division, guys.
I agree.
Shed, am I right or am I right?
So, to recall us reviewing the Vikings first, I said I'm going to let you know who wins the division. And so you guys just touched on it. I like the Vikings to win. Or you asked me if 10 and 7 was good enough for them to get into the playoffs, and the answer I said I'll wait to allude or to enlighten that. And yes, because they're going to win the division at 10 and 7.
And not only are they going to win the division, sir, according to us, they're the only team in this division that has double-digit wins.
No, I disagree with you there. I like Chicago to get 10 wins, but with strengths of schedule head-to-head, I'd like Minnesota to take the cake from that.
So if your 10 and 7 for Chicago is correct, do you have Chicago as a backdoor wild card, or do you have them sitting home?
So they're sitting home.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yep. I think that losing DJ Moore is tough. I mean, now you lost your number 1, which a lot of the passes were going to Roma Dunze and Colton Loveland, and then Luther Burden came out of nowhere late last year. And
yes, he did.
I like him a lot. And is Roma Dunze ready to take that number 1 role? I don't know.
That's the problem in my eyes, because I think the best receiver on this team happens to be a tight end.
Colton Loveland, yeah. DeAndre Swift is he's formidable. He's very similar to Jahmyr Gibbs without as much talent.
Good shout.
He's got great hands. He's quick. He's very agile. But he won't get you those tough yards, right? So I worry about that. But their defense, fellas, they had 33 takeaways last year to lead the NFL, and that was literally the only reason that they were as successful as they were. Their defense wasn't very good, but they just always won the turnover battle. They just got those, they didn't have
had an
those
uncanny
mishaps.
amount. They had an uncanny amount.
33. They had 33 last year. They led the
Yes,
NFL.
indeed. Yes, indeed. An uncanny amount of takeaways, despite the fact that they gave up a shit ton of yardage. And the God's honest truth is,
and points.
yeah, it's not sustainable. I've seen this team come back against the Giants. I've seen them come back against the Lions. I've seen them come back against the Packers.
That game against the 49ers.
Yeah, good shout again.
It was 48-45 or whatever the hell it was. Like, it was a shootout, but they didn't get any turnovers from the Niners. Well, they had,
that was a weird game, dude. I thought I was watching.
They had
I thought I was watching the Toronto Argonauts in that one.
It was
that was a weird game.
It again, their defense couldn't stop anybody then. So if you take care of the football, you're gonna beat the Bears every time. And let's be honest, I hate to say it, they got lucky last year with that amount of turnovers because their defense couldn't stop anybody. So I just don't see that defensive that repeating itself, right? So, but again, they are a good team. I see them improve with Ben Johnson, and I do like Caleb Williams. He actually has impressed me. I was not a big fan of him coming out of college. It's just like Idris said, but he made some pretty awesome throws last year, and he scrambled. He's got really good arm strength. I just don't trust the defense either. But again, they're good enough to get 10 wins, but they're just not going to win the division, and they're going to miss the playoffs.
You know what's interesting? We spoke not too long ago about how C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young are always linked because of their draft seasons and how they kind of switched positions, where Bryce Young is kind of on an uptick, where C.J. Stroud is like an oh shit tick. He might be the only question mark holding Houston from a Super Bowl berth. Yep. Now you look at Jaden Daniels, immediate hot start. He got the Washington Commanders one game away from the Super Bowl. Then year two was an injury-riddled nightmare. Like I said, I don't wish it on Mr. Williams. I just have a weird feeling that you're going to get injuries, or just even if he plays through stuff, he's going to be banged up a lot, to your point about a couple of losses on the offensive line.
Yep.
I want to give a shout out to Kyle Monaghay. I think I pronounced that name correctly. Scarlet Knights out of Rutgers. Nice little tandem.
Monaghay.
Okay. Yep. Monaghay. Nice little compliment to DeAndre Swift. When we had Aaron on the show, DeAndre was still on the Eagles. That was a very short-lived stint with Philly because they had the opportunity to get Saquon, and 9 out of 10 times you take a generational talent. DeAndre Swift is a really good player. I thought that was a good shout how you compared him to Gibbs in a certain amount of skill set. It's actually quite accurate. I'm with you, Shed. The only thing I'm not with you on is the win total, but I do have the Chicago Bears missing the playoffs with a record of 7-10 to 8-9. I'll be reasonable. I'll give them 8-9. 8-9, missing the playoffs. Good enough for, what is that? Third, I think. Yeah, I think that's third. Yeah, that's third. Give me third place finish for the Bears, a slight step back. And yeah, because when you catch everybody off guard, usually year two for head coaches is a big obstacle. We saw Brian Dable win Coach of the Year, and then the Giants were on fire a year later. We see it often. I have a feeling the Bears are taking a step back.
Sounds good.
I agree.
All right. All right. Final thought before we get out of here. Typically, I would always do this show in later August around the birthday/anniversary date of my father's passing, because my father, unfortunately, almost 9 years ago, passed 4 days after his birthday. He's not just like, I think about him often whenever I see a Packer anything, a Packer shirt, a Packer hat, a Packer anything. Or, of course, my love for the New York Yankees was inspired by him too. But God's honest truth, gentlemen, my father is the sole reason and the inspiration for why I do this show. One thing about my father, if he met you once and you guys vibed, he was your friend for life. And that's part of the reason why my father was so close with certain people that are in my circle. A guy like Brett, who Shed is super familiar with. My father loved him like a son, and vice versa. One of my favorite memories of my pop was seeing him and Disco Dan put him down together Disco Dan is Brett's father, one of the best people I've ever met, and super happy that he and my father had an opportunity to not just make fun of both of their sons, but really vibe together and really give each other their flowers, so to speak, as men who were just having a great time. Because unfortunately, my father didn't make Brett's wedding, so that was his first time meeting Disco Dan. It was a really memorable day, a really great day. Pops, it's 9 years, man, but we're still here. And
Yes,
thank you
sir.
for the life lessons. Thank you for just being you. You know, I could have had anybody for a dad, but I hit the fucking lotto because I had you.
And you know how I feel about it, Richie. I say, when I hear you talk about him, I hear your mom talk about him, I hear Brett and everybody, I like, that's the man I wish I'd have met. I said, I never met him, but you know what? I met him in spirit because yeah, he sounded like like I said, I remember when I first met you and we started knowing each other and I saw that picture of you and your father. First thing I said was, look at that. Cholesterol and his father. Because y'all look y'all look just like Robert De Niro and I can never pronounce his name. The other guy.
Just call him
But
C.
yeah, no shit.
Yeah, see,
But
yeah, see, yeah.
Just call him
but
C.
speaking of the Bronx Tale, gents, I
Yeah,
actually have an autographed old school New York Yankees jersey. Old school meaning like the um the jersey style of the early 60s. And it is
yeah.
signed by Terrell Hicks as well as Lilo Brancato, who were the co-stars alongside Robert De Niro in that movie. I got a really good Yankee jersey that needs to eventually get framed. And it says Bronx Tale 93 on the back, New York Yankees logo. Well, the New York, but 60s style in the front. A terrific movie. Saw that with my pops and my grandfather. Damn good movie. Um, but yeah, like Pops was the kind of guy that, obviously he coached me in a ton of sports. He helped a lot of other kids that were less fortunate have the opportunities to get on the field, have the opportunities to avoid poor choices due to environment. One thing that my father drilled in my head at the earliest of ages was that I was fortunate because a lot of my teammates did not have a father. A lot of my teammates didn't have a
Hmm.
mother who could be home all the time because she was busy providing. And my father wanted me to know at the earliest of ages that you are a fortunate person in that regard. And we got to make sure we give it back and take care of others. And yeah, 9/11 first responder, hell of a baseball player in his day, hell of a police officer in his day. Obviously policing on a national level has taken quite a hit where my father would shake his head. But one thing I will say is that he was like how would you say the prototype if you're making what a real good cop looks like, not just on duty but off duty as well. Always serving somebody. I shared
Yeah.
my dad with a lot of people, and I wouldn't have it any other way because my old man impacted a lot of lives. And in that regard, there's a lot of things that I could say I'm proud of him about. But truthfully, that's the biggest one. I miss it, man. I miss him getting nuts on Sundays watching the Pack. He and John Olson used to hang out a lot. I miss just like the daily calls. I told our good friend Brett that in a lot of ways he's taken some of the heat off me in terms of the void. Because whether I want to talk to him or not, you can bank on it that Brett Bandit calls me damn near every day of my life. And sometimes at the most ridiculous times. But Brett knew him. Brett knew him, and he gets it. He gets it. He truly does. Because I view this podcast as not just talking shit with guys I know. Anybody that takes a spot on this podcast is not just a friend; they are a brother, and ultimately they are family. And that was a big thing that my father took serious.
Can appreciate that.
Absolutely. Shed, as always, great insight. I thought you did a hell of a job. And I also appreciate you just in a timely fashion reaching out because I've been going through a lot of stuff lately. It hasn't been easy, as you guys know, things that are going on with me personally. And we're not going to share that here, but amongst brothers and confidants, you guys know what's up. And I appreciate you hitting me today because it gave me the motivation I needed to not just do the show, but in my opinion, do a good show. Idris, as always, my brother, appreciate you always, bro. My number 2 on this show. And we got a lot to look forward to, man. Football season is upon us. And I think we did a good job of pissing off every fan base outside of Minnesota.
Yeah. And we got one more thing, Richie. Don't count me out. Don't count me out. Kyler Murray is not going to be just given the title of starting QB1. All right.
Kyler Murray?
Let training camp play its way. All right.
I'm with you, bro. But you know who Kyler Murray kind of favors? The point guard of the New York Knicks.
He's short. Oh, there's
he's short. They have the similar hair. They have the similar complexion. They got the similar facial structure.
They're agile. Yeah.
Yes, they got a lot of similarities. And that gentleman I'm talking about from the Knicks is setting up to go back-to-back to equal everything that Isaiah Thomas did. Yeah, we know it's a football show. Pops, I'm sorry you never got to see it. But it's Knicks in 5. We out.
Big Nick energy, we ain't playing nice. Kings of New York, ain't no rolling dice. Flexing on these bitches, we the real deal. Ain't no stopping us, this is how we feel. The Bronx, Manhattan, Brooklyn, the island of Queens, we ballin' hard. Fulfilling all our dreams, thugging through the hustle. Got that grit and grind in this Big Nick energy, we forever shine. So let them know we rockin'. From the garden to the booth, Knicks in the building, bringing straight up truth. With our heads held high, watch us rise and transcend. Big Nick energy, this is just the beginning.